All right, let's get started. And what we have done actually in the previous video, it was about the material analysis, okay? And we have already discussed the MRS2, if you remember. Market rate system or then market rate schedule. Okay, now we will be just switching to the material estimation for roads, okay? You guys can hear me? Please confirm it.
Yeah, here.
And actually, here can be almost, you can say, three types of roads, okay? Earthen road, everybody is just familiar with these things, but let me just recommemorate these to you. So we have earthen road, and actually we have two types, okay? And then another one, this is known by the Pakka road, maybe, okay? This is Pakka road. However, in Pakka road, we have actually rigid pavement, and then we have the flexible pavement. So in the same video, we will be just covering all these three types of roads. And I will just start by determining the quantity of different materials in you can say earthen road. And we will have just a simple example over here. You can see I have just this water-bound macadam road, okay? So let's say we have an example and the road length that is just known, okay, which is 1 kilometer. This is simple. Now, the water-bound macadam road and some components, everybody should be familiar with the components such as subgrade, subbase, base, and then maybe surfacing or topping. If you don't know about these things and what they are made of, you can watch a you can say a separate video on my channel, okay, related to road structure. This time we are just learning quantity surveying, okay? So I'm not gonna discuss all the terminologies related to road. All right, so we have the base, which is actually 3.5, and that is meter, okay? So this is just the breadth or maybe the weight of the base layer. And the base layer that is 10 centimeter thick. And we have, of course, the sub base, which is 20 centimeter thick. And actually, those extensions, those are 50 centimeters, or maybe you can say 6 inches, okay? And to the other side, I mean, to both sides of the base layer. So we can have actually the weight of the sub base. That's very simple. All right, just move ahead to the solution. And in the solution, as you can see, we can have this solution in a table, in a nice table. You can even calculate these things in Excel format. Okay, next example will be in Excel. So we can learn how to use Excel in order to determine the quantities of different materials in road. Okay. All right, let's say we have the same table and you guys are just familiar with this because we have done this thing before, even before, okay, for the building estimation. The first thing which we have is actually the description, then we have the number of the member, length, breadth, height, and then the quantities and remarks just for detailings. And the first thing, as you can see, we have subgrade. It means that subgrade preparation is important. Okay, you can say the dressing of subgrade, and if there are any trees, maybe rocks, okay, those are just removed. Even at this stage, you can say in preparation of subgrade, gradient and camber is just considered, okay, this layer. So subgrade can be actually the natural ground level as well. But when you prepare that, then that is just known by the subgrade. Is that clear? Hello, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so by subgrade preparation and dressing, I mean everything related to subgrade, right? And in number, this should be one because we have only one road that is just earthen or you can say water-bound macadam road. And that should be one. Now the length of the road that is known, which is 1 kilometer, it means just 1,000 meters because the other information we will be just converting them into the meters. That's why the length should be in meters as well. Okay. Now the breadth of subgrade that is just known if you see in the diagram that is 3.5 plus 15 centimeters and 15 centimeter to another side. Okay. That means the breadth of the subgrade should be 3.8. And that's because if you see, we have 3.5, that one, we will add 15 centimeters to both sides. And this is the same thing, okay? As you can see, we have 3.5, 8, I mean. and the height of subgrade. So subgrade is a surface, you can say prepared surface or dressed surface. So surface does not have actually thickness or maybe the height, okay? So it means there is no thickness or height. It means the subgrade is calculated in terms of area, okay? That's why area is very important, okay? So we will just multiply these three columns in order to have the quantity of the subgrade. And this should be actually 3,800 square meters. This is very simple and straightforward. Next, as you can see, we have the subbase, which is, you can say, the first component, or maybe the second component, just laid above the subgrade, okay? So for the subgrade, subbase material, it means just providing materials for subbase. And by providing, I mean, okay, having materials according to the specifications. Okay, you have to look or read the specification for the same layer, okay, which is subbase. Okay, so subbase material means just to carry or just to buy, okay, just to bring materials on the roadside, okay, according to the specifications. Again, in number, it should be 1. The length is just 1 kilometers, okay. The subbase width or breadth, that is just the same as subgrade, okay. However, there is a height which is actually 20 centimeters, okay. Now here is a point. I'm not gonna take 20 centimeters. Why? The height should be actually something different, okay, which should be 0.30. Now why? It is very important. As you can see, the 20 centimeter or maybe 10 centimeters, okay, these videos are according to the drawings, which means they are already, you can say, considered as constructed road, okay? So it means there can be consolidation or maybe compaction of the material. And after compaction, as you can see, we lose the depth of the layer, okay? And this shortage or maybe this decrease can be actually 50%, okay, after compaction. I mean, if we just lay materials, let's say if the materials are laid for 20 centimeters, okay? After compaction, they will become actually 10 centimeters because there are voids, okay, in the materials. So when you compact it with rulers maybe, then 20 centimeter become actually 10 centimeters. That's why in advance, it's necessary to add 10 centimeters, okay? Now, as you can see, we have 20 centimeters. So in advance, we will add actually 10 centimeters more. It means half of the depth, okay? So half of the depth must be added. That's why I have just added 10 centimeters, okay, with 20 centimeters. So we have actually, as you can see, 30 centimeters or maybe 0.3 meters, okay? And this is the same process. So just multiply these 4 columns. You can say the numbers, length, breadth, and height, and we will have actually the quantity, and that's in cubic meter, because this is like maybe we have thickness, so there is volume, right? And next we have actually labor for spreading and consolidation of the. Now, if you bring in, when you have materials on site, okay, maybe we carry materials, the carriage is just done using dumpers, okay, and then locally you can say dynas, okay, loaders maybe. So they are just, you can say, unloaded on the roadside. Now, labor is required to spread those materials according to the specifications, you can say, okay? Or you can say according to the given dimensions. And this is so simple, okay? So this thing, now, it is very important to know that the materials which are just, you can say, brought should be spread, okay? So the same material just spread, it means the quantity should be the same as the subbase material. It's very simple. Next, we have actually, and this is the same thing, okay? And next, we have actually the base layer, which is, you can say, the top layer for the waterbound macadam road. And the process is just the same. We can have 1 in number. The length is just 1,000 meters, because it is just 1 kilometer, okay? 1 kilometer means just 1000 meters. And as you can see, we are just doing everything in meters. That's why we do this conversion, okay? Now, as you can see, the width that is known, 3.5. However, the depth, that is just 10 centimeters. I'm not gonna take 10 centimeters this time, okay? I'll just take 15 centimeters. Why? Because half of the depth must be added to the original depth due to compaction factor, okay? We have compaction. So it should be 0.15 meters or maybe 15 centimeters. Now multiply these four columns, we can have 525 cubic meter is the quantity of base material, you can say, okay? And the material for base should be based on the specification, okay? You have to look for the size and many more specification, okay, before just bringing or maybe buying the material for base layer, okay? Now even labor is just required to spread the base materials, okay? And this is going to be the same quantity as the base layer materials. So same quantity. And why same? Because when you buy something, or maybe if you have the same material, those material is just spread, okay? No extra material or no shortage of the material. So that's why we have the same material or maybe the same quantity. And this is 525, okay? Now, once you have these quantities, you can see these quantities, then abstract of cost is just prepared for the road construction or maybe for the road estimation, okay? So let's just move ahead for the abstract of cost. And remember, for this, you have to use MRS. And if you remember, MRS is just been covered in previous video. So I'm not gonna discuss MRS again and again because that's gonna be just wastage of time. You have to look for the same materials in MRS, and then you have to look for the composite rate or maybe for the labor rate, okay, in the same MRS. This time, I'm gonna just assume some rates, you can say, okay, for the same work. So we can carry the abstract of cost, okay? Let's see, as you can see, we are going to just prepare the abstract of cost. And the same thing, we have quantities, you can see it, okay? So we will just add description, then quantities, then again the unit of quantity, of course the rate, and then we have actually the total amount in RS, okay? Now the first thing, as you can see, we have the preparation, you can say the dressing of subgrade. Now the quantity, it was just actually 3,800, and the unit, it is the same thing, okay? However, let's say we have the rate, which is 20 rupees per square meter, okay? It means R is 20 per square meter. Now, it means you have to just multiply this with this, so you can have the total amount, okay? Very simple. It's nothing complicated. And I think I should just move ahead very quickly because this is going to be just the wastage of time discussing these things. This is just basic, okay? Now, supplying material based on the specifications of the sub-base material, and the unit is again cubic meter, and the rate, let's say this is 210 per cubic meter. It means we will just multiply the quantity with the rate, so we can have the total amount, just the same thing, okay? And the labor for spreading and consolidation of sub-base material, we have the same quantity in cubic meter. The rate is just different little bit, and just multiply the quantity with rate, so we can have actually the total amount, and so on, okay? You can do it just by yourself. It is just very straightforward. So this is how we can actually prepare the abstract of cost and then actually prepare the material estimation for a waterbound macadam road, okay? Now I'll be just jumping any actually in AutoCAD, and we will have a nice drawing of a road, okay, over there. And then we will prepare the abstract of materials in Excel, okay? But before starting that, let me ask you if you have any question related to this problem.
So the labor for spreading and consolidation of surface material. ये अगर उर्दू में बता दे तो समझ में
अच्छा
आ जाए.
ठीक है, मैं उर्दू में समझा दूँ आपको। अच्छा, क्या होता है ना कि सब ग्रेड जब तैयार हो जाए ना, तो हम क्या करते हैं सब बेस लेयर के लिए या फिर बेस के लिए हम
سره د اردو نه په خیر ده چې په پښتو کې شنو خبرې مهرباني وکړئ افغان کسان به هم صحیح پوه شي خفه کېږئ نه
असल में मसला ये है ना कि ये जो इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट है इनको फिर समझ नहीं आएगी ना। तो
अच्छा
यही
अच्छा अच्छा उसमें है लेडीज लेडीज ठीक है सर नो सर
यही मसला
कोई
है ना,
बात
इन
नहीं
लोगों को फिर समझ
ओके
नहीं
सर
आती। तो
ओके सर कोई बात नहीं सर ना
अच्छा, तो असल में
ओके
जो हम कहते हैं ना, रोड़ा कहते हैं शायद हम ना, जो आपके लिए कोर्स एग्रीगेट होता है। तो कोर्स एग्रीगेट को हम फिर डंपर या लोडर के जरिए ले आते हैं, जो कि रोड साइड है उस पे। ठीक है। तो वो अक्सर मैं जरा इसको ड्रा करूं तो शायद आप लोगों को ज्यादा बेहतर समझ आ जाए। एक सेकंड मैं जरा ड्रा करूं इस चीज को, तो ग्राफिकली मेरे ख्याल से समझ आ जाएगा आप लोगों को। फिर यू मेरे ख्याल से वो समझ मुश्किल है। अच्छा, ये देखिए जरा, ये मेरे पास है, लेट्स से यहाँ पे हमने रोड बनाना है, ठीक है, यू। अब हम क्या करते हैं कि मटेरियल्स को ले आते हैं और यहाँ पे यू डाल देते हैं, इस तरह इस फॉर्म में कुछ यू डाल देते हैं। ठीक है। ये सवाल किसने पूछा था?
जी जी मैंने।
जी, किसने पूछा था सवाल भाई? वो बंदा सुन भी
जी
रहा
सर
है या
मैंने
नहीं?
पूछा।
तो हम क्या करते हैं, इस लोडर के जरिए ये मटेरियल ले आते हैं ना, और यहाँ पे फिर अनलोड कर देते हैं यू। अब इन
ठीक है
मटेरियल्स को भाई स्प्रेड भी कर देना है। उर्दू में इसको क्या कहते हैं, स्प्रेडिंग को, मतलब हमवार कर देना है इस जगह में, ये सारे बेट में यू हमवार भी कर देना है ना इन मटेरियल को।
जी सर।
तो इन मटेरियल को कौन हमवार करेगा? लेबर ये है इस काम के लिए भाई। ठीक है।
जी सर।
या डिफरेंट इक्विपमेंट्स हैं हमारे हमारे पास रोड के लिए। तो वो इक्विपमेंट कौन चलाएगा, ऑपरेट कौन करेगा? लेबर ही करेगा। इसी वजह
जी
से
सर।
हम लेबर कास्ट को कैलकुलेट करते हैं, क्योंकि इन मटेरियल को स्प्रेड किया जाता है। अगर आप सेक्शन में देख ले तो किसी महसूस डेप्थ में इनको हम क्या करते हैं, स्प्रेड कर देते हैं। इसको कहते हैं लेबर फॉर स्प्रेडिंग। ठीक है।
ठीक है सर समझ आ गया।
चलो, गुड हो गया। ओके, मैं इसको खत्म कर दूं। अब मेरे पास ऑटोकैड में आप लोग इस सेक्शन को देख ले जरा। ये एक सिंपल सा सेक्शन है जिसमें सब ग्रेड, then we have sub base, base, and then you can say topping or surfacing, okay, which is just TST, okay, triple surface treatment, that is just known by that. And you can see we have NSL, which is this level, you can see that, okay, and we have side slope, which is 3:1. And there is actually footpath and then curbstone. And as you can see, the carriageway that is 25. And we have actually some electricity pole, okay? And this road is actually 3 miles long. And we are asked, let's say, to prepare the abstract of material for the same road section. So let's just do it. And I'm gonna do this in Excel over here, okay? Now, in order to determine different materials for the same road in Excel, let me just have that same table over here. Let's say serial number, then we should have description. My typing is a little bit slow, ignore it. And then we have the number, then we have the length, and then width or breadth maybe, then height, and let's say quantity, and then we should have remarks. I'm gonna just have a little bit the same thing, okay, just like this. And let's just apply wrapping to all. Let's say have some settings so we can do it a little bit quickly. Okay, serial number first, it should be 1. And in the description, I'm gonna have some nice description for the subgrade, because the first thing is just to prepare the subgrade, okay? Just the same way as we did few minutes ago for the waterbound macadam road. So let's just say if I'm gonna type that the preparation or maybe preparing of subgrade, and this actually include, let me just write, including camber and gradient. Now you should be familiar with camber and gradient, okay? And let's say etc. Okay, this is pretty good. So we'll be just preparing the subgrade for the same road, and now the preparation must include preparing the camber and gradient. Okay, because in high quality roads, normally in low quality roads, we provide camber and topping only. However, in high quality roads, the camber and the gradient that is just considered even in subgrade preparation. Okay, so in number, it should be only 1. Now, length of the road. What should be length of the road? Remember, it should be, you can see it is just known, okay? We're here in the drawing. Let's say that is just 3 miles, okay? But the other dimensions, those are actually in feet. That's why let's just convert miles into feet, okay? Now, how do you convert miles into feet? For this, you should know that 1 mile means 5,280 feet, okay? So 3 times 5,280 feet. It means it is just 15,840. That is actually the length, okay? So which is 15,840 feet. And this is what we want, okay? So this is actually the total length of the road, you can say. Now, breadth of the same thing. It should be given, okay, over here, as you can see. And this is also known by the lane width, okay? If you're a little bit familiar with terminologies related to road, okay? There can be different terminologies such as carriageway, land width, formation width, and so on. Curb, okay? Footpath, side slope, side drain, and many more, okay? So we have, as you can see, the width of, you can say, land width, that is 41 feet and 6 inches. And this is actually, you can see it is the total thing, okay, up to the 2 point, okay, of this slope, or you can say side slope. So we have this thing is the land width, which is for 41 feet and 6 inches. It means 41.5. Now the height, what should be the height of subgrade? It should be 0, okay? There is no height, you can say, because subgrade is just a natural ground surface which is just prepared, okay? So we do not consider the height for a date. This is very easy and straightforward. So the quantity should be actually, if you see, we have to multiply these 3 columns or maybe the 4 columns, but this time we do not have anything in the 4th column. So it means the breadth times the length times the number, okay? This should be actually the quantity. Now the quantity must be, let me just have another column over here for unit, okay? Because it is also necessary to have unit over there. And let's say this column is just for unit. Now this should be in square feet, okay? Because this is just a surface and we have only 2 dimensions in the same calculation. So we have done the preparation of subgrade. Now next, number 2, we have actually the subbase material. You can see, okay? It is just known over here. This is subgrade, okay? And above subgrade, we have actually subbase. And that is, if you see, it is 9 inches and 2.5 inches down size, okay? It means this is just the size of aggregate. So let's just say maybe providing subbase material, and this should be according to the given specifications. And maybe you can say, even when you provide these materials, it is very necessary to stake them, okay, on site. And staking the, you can say on the roadside, maybe on the road side, okay? So you have to stake or maybe store these materials, okay? Or maybe you can say unload these materials on the roadside, and then that is just spread by the labor, you can say, okay? And number, it should be 1. Length should be the same because it is just a road, okay, of 3 miles. Now, what should be the breadth? This is very important. You have to look for the dimensions. As you can see, this is actually the subbase, and over here we have 2 dimensions, okay? Up to this point, it is actually 41 feet and 6 inches. You can see it, okay, up to this point, this dimension actually. But over here we have slope at both ends, and these are the side slopes, okay? It's just, you can say, forming a trapezium, if you remember the area of trapezium, okay? So it means we have 2 types of, you can say, width or maybe depth, breadths, which is 41 feet and 6 inches, and another one that is actually 37 feet, okay? So which one should be taken? None of these. We have to take the mean one, okay? Just add these both and divide it by 2 so we can have the mean breadth. And that should be actually, if I'm not wrong, 39.25. You can even just use Excel for this approach, but I think calculator is better so you guys can understand the problem, okay? We have, as you can see, 41.5 plus 37, and we will just divide this by 2 because we need the mean one, and that is 39.25, okay? You guys can hear me. Anybody confirm it, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Once we have the breadth, there is thickness for the subbase because we are calculating materials for the subbase this time, okay? And what should be the thickness? It is already known over here, as you can see, 9 inches subbase. But should we take 9 inches or not? Of course not, because this depth should be increased, okay? Like the same way as we did for the waterbound macadam road. Now 9 inches means 0.75, okay? And it means we will just add half of the depth, okay, is extra because after compaction, we lose some depth, okay? So we should have compaction factor over here. And we will just add half of this, which should be maybe
0.375.
Yeah, 0.375. Okay, that's good. Thank you so much. And plus 0.75. It should be 1.125. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, 1.125. Okay, so this is actually the depth. Now, what should be the quantity? We will be just dragging the same formula over here. But if you remember, this formula does not include the height. So let's just include height as well. Okay, so we will multiply this thing over here with this and press enter. Now this is the quantity, and as you can see, we have 3 dimensions. It means this is in CFT. And then we have actually number 3, and we should calculate labor to spread these materials, which are already, you can say, broad, okay, to spread the subbase materials. And this should also be according to the specifications, or maybe according to the dimensions given, okay? In number, it should be 1. And as you can see, the quantity should be the same, okay? Because what you buy is eaten by you. So what you bring, or maybe what you unload on the site, that is just used by you or spread by the labor. It's just clear, okay? And then we have actually number 4. And number 4 should be actually the base material, okay? Because above subbase, we have the base layer, and that is 4 inches. You can see that, okay? 1.5 inches down size. So let's just say that number 4, that is just providing the base material. So I'm gonna copy that, and let me just rename this into base layer. And this is according to the specification and stacking date on the roadside, okay? So that's simple. In number, it should be 1. The length should be the same, 3 miles, you can say. And what should be the width, or maybe the breadth, you can say. This should be actually, as you can see, different. Now, this layer, which is just selected, this is now actually the the base layer, and over there we have actually side slope on both sides. And because of that, we have actually two dimension. One is just 37 feet and another one that is 35 feet. You can see that, okay? So we have to take average of these two again. It means 35 plus 37 and divided by 2. So we can have 36 is the average or maybe the mean width, okay? So I'm gonna put 36 over here. That's very simple. Now we have 4 inches is the depth or maybe the height. So it should be increased or maybe half of the depth should be added. Okay, it means 2 inches should be added again because we have 4 inches the depth and after adding 2 inches, it becomes 6 inches. That means 0.5 feet. And we will just drag the formula. And actually this is in CFT because this is volume, okay? Now we have to spread the same material. That's why I'm just gonna copy that thing and paste it over here so we can have some time, okay? So we will be just spreading the base materials and according to the specifications, you can say. Now it should be the same. I'm not gonna repeat it again and again because I don't want to be a little bit tired or maybe more tired, okay? So it is just the same because what you have brought should be spread out, okay? So this is number 5. So, and these things are actually, if you remember, it is the same thing is we have just done maybe some time ago for the waterbound macadam road, okay? However, in waterbound macadam road, there was no topping or maybe you can say surfacing. This time, as you can see, we have surfacing. And there is even camber over there, okay, which is 3%. Now, this, as you can see, which is just selected and there is arrow, okay, which is drawn over there, okay, leading to this information, which is TST or triple surface treatment, okay. Now, this is actually 3 coats treatment, which may include bitumen, and then maybe you can say budgery or crushed stone, okay. It means it is just flexible pavement, okay. So we have to say, let's say number, where is it? Number 6, I guess, okay. Number 6, and number 6, we have actually triple and surface treatment. You can just type TST per there and even right here surfacing, okay? So you can understand this is just topping. Now, in the same triple surface treatment, there can be 2 types of material. Like, let me just say, number 1, there can be maybe crust stone, okay? Now, the quantity of crust stone, it can be different. And this actually depends on the mix design, okay? So it can be different. However, let's say, according to specifications, we have 9.75 CFT, and we will have that per 100 SFT work, okay? So let's say this is just the quantity of crust stone, okay? Which means almost 10 CFT crust stone should be used for 100 SFT road surface or maybe topping. Okay, and we must have actually bitumen. Okay, now how much bitumen is required? It depends on the design. However, let's say we are given that the quantity of bitumen that is 79, which is almost 80 pounds, okay? LBS are pounds. And this is actually, let's say, per 100 SFT. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the length is the same, okay? So I'm going to apply that length to, I mean, each cell or maybe to each row. Next, we have actually the breadth. And as you can see, we have 25 feet is the width of this layer. You can see that, okay? It is just represented with yellow line. And as you can see, we have 25 feet is the width. So let me just put 25 over here. and 25 over here. There is no thickness for the same thing. That's why we have to just calculate the quantity. And let me just drag that formula. But over here, as you can see, we have result is 0 because the formula is just empty, okay? I'm going to just remove the F8, okay? And then press enter. As you can see, we have now the quantity because multiplying these three things can have the quantity, okay? Or maybe resulting in the quantity. Now the result is the same, okay? Because this is just area. Now further in analysis or maybe calculating the cost, we will be just considering these things, okay? 9.75 CFT as the crust stone, and then the bitumen is 79 pounds, okay? So this is actually the area. That means the quantity is in SFT, okay? Now, you have to look actually in MRS for the same specification, and then you have to look for the rate. And then that rate is just enough to work out the cost of the said, you can say, surface. It's very easy, okay? Okay, next, number 7. Number 7, we have actually kerbstone. And kerbstone, let me just show you if you can see it. As you can see, we have these kerbstone. One is this one and one is this one, okay? It means on both sides of the footpath, okay? Or you can say there are 4 kerbstone, okay? On both sides of the same road. So let's say we have kerbstone and a number that should be 4, okay? Length is the same because it is just the road which is 3 miles in length, okay? Now kerbstone, they are actually laid, okay, along the length. It means the quantity should be in running feet or maybe in running meter, okay? So we have to just multiply the length with the number, and that's actually the same thing, 63,360. And next we have actually another thing. Let me just visit it. As you can see, kerbstone are done. We're here on this, we have actually some footpath, and this is a concrete pavement. Let me just color it so you can see it. Okay, this green color, okay? This is just actually concrete work, okay? Again, let me just color this. So what should be the quantity of the same thing, okay? We call this maybe, let's say number 8, and this is actually pavement, or maybe let's say footpath. And in footpath, we have actually, let's say, concrete pavement. In number, it should be 2, because on both sides, that thing is just, you can say, paved, okay? So in number, it is just 2. And the length should be the same because it's along the road, okay? Now, what should be the width? It should be actually 3, if you can see it. We're here in the dimensions, it is actually 3, okay? So let's just put it over there. Now, if there is any thickness, you can just include that. And let's just see if we have thickness or not, okay, for the same work. Now, as you can see, this arrow is, or you can say leader is just leading to the same concrete pavement, and that is 4 inches, okay? What do you mean by 4 inches? It is actually the same thing is 0.334 feet, okay? So you have to multiply these 4 columns in order to get the quantity. And this is actually the same thing, okay? A very huge video because the road is enough lengthy, 3 miles. That is actually a huge thing, okay? Now, another thing which we have actually is the brick ballast. And that is just below of this pavement. You can see it. This is just brick ballast. Let me just color it red so you guys can see it. This is just the brick ballast, okay, on both sides. So in number, it should be 2. In number, it should be 2. Length should be the same, right? Width should be the same because it is just below that thing, okay? I mean, below that concrete pavement, okay? You can see it is, and you can even annotate this, okay? if it's not just disturbed. You can see it, okay? It is only 3 feet.
इसमें
Okay,
सर कर्व स्टोन कौन सा है?
okay, let me just show you. This one, this guy. You see it?
सर ये
Which,
ड्राइंग में सर दिखा है। अच्छा सर, ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है।
actually, curbstone, let me just have some definition to this thing, okay? Curbstone is actually the structure or maybe member of the road which separates the surfacing from the footpath.
जी सर।
And this can be actually rectangular as well, no problem. All right.
Okay, sir.
And even over here, we may also have stone channel like over here, okay? Over here. That's why I recommend you to be familiar with the terminologies of road in order to determine detailed quantities, okay? All right, next, what we have is actually the break balance. And now, what should be the thickness? Okay, let's just see in the same drawing. Okay, as you can see, this arrow represents the dimension to that, and that is actually 8 inches. Okay, so 8 inches means just 0.66, 0.667 feet. And let's just drag that formula so we can have actually the quantity. Now this is in volume, so it means the unit should be in CFT. All right, I think we have only one thing remaining, and that is if you see, we have these electric poles, okay? According to the specifications we have, or maybe according to the drawing, we have no information about these poles. That's why I'm gonna assume for myself, okay? Let's say we have number 9, because I just want you to understand these things if you have specifications, okay? Now let's say, according to specifications, if we have different poles, and let's say if they are maybe after some distance, okay? Okay, so electric poles,
Directive.
remember, they are just, you can say, you can say they are just constructed, maybe they are drilled inside the earth, okay, or inside the concrete, but having some interval, okay, there can be some interval. Let's say if we have, I'm going to say at the rate, let's say 50 poles, okay, per maybe mile. What do you say? Let's say we have some specification. So 50 poles are used per mile. It means we have 3 miles. The number should be 150 now. What do you say? It's very easy. So the quantity is actually 150 and the unit is numbers. So quantity survey is very easy, I think. If you are a little bit familiar with those 3 things, okay, as I have just discussed before, or maybe at start of the session, okay, or maybe a course, okay. So we have discussed those 3 things: the drawing, the specifications, okay, and then actually the rates. These 3 things are very important. Okay, so when you are familiar with these things, then quantity survey is very easy. And if you remember, before I have already told you that area and volume is very important. Now, as you can see, everything over here that we have just calculated is all about area and volume. You can see that, okay? This is the reason I have already explained everything related to area and volume at the very start of the course. So these are the quantities of materials for a road. You can see it, okay? There is nothing left over here, and this is the road, okay? Now calculating the cost based on the MRS, it's your work. You have to do that the same way as I did for the waterbound macadam road. And I think we have 1 hour completed. So if there is any question related to quantity surveying or maybe any other subject, you may ask. So we may leave the class then.
सर ये क्रश
सर
तो डॉक्यूमेंट वाला है, इसका समझ नहीं आया, इस पर थोड़ा बताएं।
आवाज नहीं है आपका क्लियर?
सर ये क्रस्टोन और बिचुमेन का कंसेप्ट क्लियर नहीं हुआ है इस पर, ये क्लियर करें सर।
अच्छा, वेरी,
ये
ये देखे यहाँ पे, ये तो बहुत सिंपल है। ठीक है, अब क्या होता है, अस्पार्ट में हमारे पास क्रस्टोन होता है और बेचुमेन होता है। ठीक है, जो हम फ्लेक्सिबल पेवमेंट या आप कह ले कि तारकोल वाले जो रोड हम कंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं, तो उसमें क्रस्टोन और फिर बेचुमेन मिक्स किया जाता है। ठीक है, तो
यस
अब
सर।
कितना क्रस्टोन होनी चाहिए और कितना बेचुमेन होनी चाहिए, ये तो खैर डिपेंड करता है किस चीज़ पे, डिज़ाइन पे। जो हमारा मैक्स डिज़ाइन होता है ना, उस पे डिपेंड करता है बेशक। हावेवर, डिज़ाइन के बाद आप लोगों को ये चीज़ मालूम होनी चाहिए कहाँ से, स्पेसिफिकेशंस में। क्वांटिटी सर्वे ने स्पेसिफिकेशंस को स्टडी करना है, उन स्पेसिफिकेशन के हिसाब से आपने क्वांटिटी के कैलकुलेशन करने हैं। ठीक है, तो चलो, मैंने इज्यूम कर दिया कि स्पेसिफिकेशन में हमारे पास @9.75 CFT इतना क्रस्टोन, CFT मींस वॉल्यूम है ना। हमने पहले
यस
जो
सर।
इन चीज़ों को कैलकुलेट किया हुआ है एनालिसिस में, कल वाली क्लास में मेरे ख्याल से। तो इतने CFT का क्रस्टोन चाहिए कितने काम के लिए, 100 स्क्वायर फीट काम के लिए। कितना आसान बात है यार, इजी बात है।
यस सर।
सिमिलरली हमें चाहिए 79 पाउंड्स बेचुमेन। ठीक है, कितने काम के लिए, 100 SFT काम के लिए।
यस सर।
आप कह ले कि भाई हमारे हमारे पास यहाँ पे 10 बाई 10 का रोड है। समझ आ गया आप लोगों को?
यस सर।
10 बाई 10 का रोड है, तो इसके लिए हमें क्रस्टोन चाहिए भाई 9 पॉइंट, कितना चाहिए, 9.75 CFT। ठीक है,
यस सर।
और बिचुमेन कितना चाहिए, 79 पाउंड्स। ठीक है, आप
यस।
LBS से इसको लेबल कर सकते हैं यू। कोई और क्वेश्चन?
सर लेक्चर लेक्चर अपलोड कर देना, इंशाल्लाह हम रिवीजन करेंगे लेक्चर देख देख इंशाल्लाह।
आज तो एक अपलोड किया है मैंने,
सर जी,
डे 3 का। डे
ओके
थ्री
इंशाल्लाह, ये भी इंशाल्लाह अपलोड हो जाए तो अच्छी
डे
बात है।
डे 3 मैंने अपलोड किया हुआ है। ठीक है, और इसमें थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा क्योंकि मैंने AutoCAD वाले भी अपलोड कर देना है कल ना, तो उसको एडिट करूंगा
ओ
फिर, इसके लिए टाइम नहीं है।
ओके
ओके,
ओके सर, नो प्रॉब्लम सर, थैंक यू सर।
अल्लाह हाफिज।
अल्लाह हाफिज सर।